We're going to do a pulled pork bao buns today, but part of it is, and it's a simple part, it's just a bit of basting first and allowing that to sit for marinade for about an hour, and then we're going to put it into the slow cooker, and that's going to cook for 6 to 8 hours. So what I want to do is just a couple of things on it, just a little bit of oil. So there's a few things we want to load on this. So a large-ish 1.5 kilos of pork, and just using our hands there, we're going to massage this in and really just adding in a couple of spices. Now, some of the things I want to add in, a little bit of ginger, a ginger spice. We're going to put in garlic. So we're going to do a couple of different things in here. Garlic. Now, as I said, this cooks for 6 to 8 hours, so it's a fair bit of time on the slow cooker. So this is the hardest part of it, and then just pulling it apart and then loading it into these little bao buns. So just basting that a little bit. As I said, this is going to sit for close to an hour. And this has also been out of the fridge for an hour, so it's not cold anymore. So it's got to room temperature. Now, a couple of things I want to put in there. Some chilies. Some of this will burn off or dry off, so that's okay. Some allspice, that's just like a 5 spice that we'll put on there. And again, this will not necessarily all stay on, so I don't feel like I've whacked on way too much. A little bit of salt too, and just gonna, in a second, we're just gonna pat this down just to kind of really get it in there. A little bit more there. And a little bit of pepper. Just some, as I said, just a number of spices on there to kind of give it that extra flavour. Now, when I come back after about an hour for this, what we're going to do is actually put it in the slow cooker, as I said, but I'm going to use a ginger beer as well so it doesn't dry up. And you can put a little bit of liquid in there. It is worth checking. And some onion as well, just at the base, and I'll show you that a little bit later. Now, the final thing I want to put on there, you could do a hoisin sauce. I don't have any with us at the moment. So this is just a teriyaki. And just drizzle the teriyaki, very similar, just drizzle the teriyaki sauce on there. And that will kind of sit as part of that marinade as well. Wonderful. We'll come back in about an hour, have that on, ready to go, and then we'll show you that next process. Okay, slow cooker's just warmed up. With this cook, you're probably better off to have it on a low heat for 6 to 8 hours rather than a high heat. If it's a high heat, what you'll find is it will dry the pork out a little bit. So let's keep it at a low heat. Now, that's been marinating for 30, 40 minutes. Now, what I wanted to show you, so I've cut these onions just in half, right? And these onions become your base, right? So this is heating up. So just a base there, just to put the pork in. All right, so just so it doesn't boil down the bottom. Okay, and just picking up carefully your marinade. Now that's held together through that string as well, so it's not going to fall apart. Just some of that extra marinade in there. Just to, no wastage. That's the teriyaki sauce and that marinade that just sits at the bottom. Right, here's a cool little trick. Now, because you've already got some of that ginger flavour in that marinade, I've got a little thing of ginger beer here that we can use as, I can open it, we can use as a bit of a marinade, okay, or a bit of a base at the bottom. Now this is also not too cold, because you don't want to go too cold. So just pouring that in, about 370 or so mils. Probably should have shaken that up a little bit, and just letting it sit there, right? So what you can see, if you get up close, you can actually see that it's just rised above the liquid. Now, that liquid will dissolve after a while, so we're going to keep checking it every couple of hours, and we can add it up. And when you add it up, you could put in a little bit of chicken stock or vegetable stock or whatever you might need to do, just to make sure that that doesn't dry out. So let's put that in, check the time, and literally that's it. So go do what you need to do, and we're going to come back in around 6 to 7 hours. Okay, we are about 6.5 hours in to this, and I want to show you, I'm going to leave it on because it's got another hour or so to go, but I want to show you something. So there's your pulled pork. I actually want to get the crackling off, and then I'm going to put I'm going to put the skin in the air dryer, and then we're going to make it crackling, and then I'm going to put this back in there. So as quickly as you can, because you don't want to lose the heat in there. I'm just going to take this out We're going to snip off those bits off, keep that going, keep that on. That's on high now. I've turned that up to high, that slow cooker. And remember these little things here. So I just want to take off the bits of string, just so we can get this off, and we can then make that crackling as hard as we can. So this is a bit tricky, just be careful. It is obviously hot. Make sure you got all those bits of string off, and it's going to help hopefully peel this apart. So let's roll it over. You can see. Now I didn't need to add any additional liquid in there. As I said, you could have added a vegetable stock or a chicken stock. So we didn't need to. So I'm just going to peel just that skin part off if I can. And it might even be easy, but I just slightly cut around it there. Just careful, try not to take too much of the meat off. Not that it matters, because it's all going to kind of go in the same spot. Okay, and see how that easily comes off, as it will when we really pull the rest of this apart. Okay, awesome. Just get the edge of that off. Now, back with that in the slow cooker. Again, sitting it back on, just before I do that, sitting it back on the onions there. Now, opportunity, little slippage, opportunity here just to give it one little bit of salt on top, and we're going to salt this as well, okay? So we're going to really give this an option to crackle up and crunch up. So in the air fryer, I've got the air fryer on 200 degrees. It's probably going to take 15 to 20 minutes. We'll see how it goes. So I'm going to keep that going for about another hour or so, and then we'll give that in the air fryer and see if we can bring that skin up to a crackle. Okay, that's about 10 minutes. Let's just have a look to see how it's going. And be careful it doesn't spit when you open that up. Oh, awesome. Yeah, look at that. Looks great. We'll keep it going a little bit longer, and we'll let that rest. So I took the pork out of the slow cooker, and what you can see there, and I gave it 10 minutes in the air fryer. Now you can see the onions there. I gave those a little bit as well. Otherwise, they just would have been wet and wasted. So I took them out of that juice, put them in the air fryer as well. There's that crackling, which absolutely came up beautifully. And what you want to do now is just really kind of break this apart, right? You can see the heat coming out of that. Just this is why it's called pulled pork. So just stripping it apart, like you can see there. And then what we're going to add to these, it's a bit tricky. What we're going to add to these as well is some coleslaw and these little bao buns. So I'll keep pulling that apart. So that's all you really want to do, just pull that apart as much as you can. But I just want to show you something, and I'll come back and do that later. These are little bao buns, so you can make your own, okay? Not easy, I wouldn't have thought, I've never done it. These are little frozen ones, as they are. The key to it is I'm gonna put these in the microwave for about 1.5 minutes, maybe 2 minutes, see how it goes. Don't put too many in, because they'll get soggy, all right? So, and they'll fluff up, and when you're ready to serve, you just plate them up, put them in, and they're absolutely beautiful. So I'm gonna keep pulling that apart, the pulled pork, and then we'll get those going, and I'll show you when it's all plated up with the coleslaw.